Today I'm outside the Taylor Morrison community of Esplanade at Azario. So these are the models that are in the background here, as you can see. Now, Taylor Morrison is one of 3 builders in the area that are taking bids on the houses for new construction. Now, I get a lot of complaints from clients saying, hey, I don't want to put in a bid, and I understand that. There's 2 theories of thought on this. If you put in a bid, you're up to the list faster, and you might get a house sooner than if you're on one of the communities that have a wait list. Well, in this community, I had 2 clients that put in bids, and they both won. And so we're going to have a short conversation with them about how they came up with their winning strategy to acquire a home here in the Esplanade at Azario community here in Lakewood Ranch. So if that's of interest, stick around. I have all the details coming right up.
Don't buy real estate if you experience allergic reactions to happiness, satisfaction, pride, fulfillment, contentment. Stop buying real estate if you don't like community, a sea of belonging, a diversified portfolio. Buying real estate may cause you to shop at hardware stores, furniture stores, and design centers. See your realtor immediately if you experience any of these symptoms.
Hello, it's Mark Boehmig with Michael Saunders and Company. And in this channel, Living in Lakewood Ranch, we cover all the areas from Sarasota up to Bradenton and from Anna Maria Island all the way down to Siesta Key. So if you get value out of this video, just click that little subscribe button and ding the little bell so every time we put on a new video, you'll be notified. So today I'm happy to be joined by 2 of my clients that have recently won bids in Esplanade at Azario. So I'm going to bring in Eric and John, and both of these gentlemen have successfully made purchases in the community of Esplanade at Azario, and they happen to make the bids on the same release, different lots, same model home, but one was golf and one was non-golf. So, John, I'm going to start with you, and just if we could get a brief introduction and ask what brings you actually to Lakewood Ranch, and where did you come here from?
We most recently relocated from the Raleigh-Durham area in North Carolina. Why Lakewood Ranch? I'd say over the last 5 years, we've looked at mountain and coastal areas from North Carolina all the way down to Florida. And Lakewood Ranch offered the most comprehensive set of features that we were looking for. First-class communities, top of the line amenities, good healthcare, shopping, arts, and of course the beaches.
So Eric, what about yourself? What brings you to Lakewood Ranch, and where are you coming here from?
My history here is a little further back than John probably. My wife's family has been coming down to Sarasota and Siesta Key for probably 40 years. We also looked around. We looked in Texas. We looked in the Carolinas. I'm from the north suburbs of Chicago, so an area that certainly has the weather and everything else to deal with, but we're used to that. I was born in northern Wisconsin, so this is nothing for me to have cold weather. I think we wanted to get a community, and one where being a transplant from the north, we have to be in an area where we're resetting our social circles. We're just coming in and making sure that we're in a community that has enough going on with a lot of similarities. And I kind of looked at Esplanade at Azario and say that that's an area where I kind of reinvigorated my interest in golf a little bit, because when I initially started looking down here, I wasn't going to play golf, except on a public circuit, public courses. And then all of a sudden I'm thinking about it and I go, well, we're in a community. We've got people we want to meet. We've got to establish new friends, and what better way than to have some organization to that with the golf, and the environment at Esplanade seemed to be good for us in getting groups together. Lakewood Ranch is the same thing, and they have a lot of clubs and a lot of things to be an active part of. And so probably 3 years ago, we started looking at the Lakewood Ranch area and just saw it grow like crazy. I mean, we were looking at, we always were tooling around and looking at houses, but we never were willing to pull the trigger until now. It was just one of these things.
That brings me to the next question is, and you kind of answered it there, is how long you've been looking in the area, and so you've been looking here for about 3 years?
Yeah, about 3 years.
Okay. And John, what about you? How long have you been looking here in the Lakewood Ranch area?
It's been a couple of years. We visited here January of 2020, right before the pandemic broke out.
Have you made any offers on other homes before you got this one, or what you thought the process was for actually getting this? But really, more specifically, did you make offers on other homes before you landed on this one?
We did. We made what we thought were a couple of really strong offers on resales. Probably looked at a dozen different homes, either through showings with you or open houses on the weekends.
Right.
But there were two that we felt real strongly about. They were newer homes. Unfortunately, our offers weren't either high enough or um, we were beat out by offers that were unconditional. They passed on home inspections, and we weren't willing to do that.
Got it. Eric, what about yourself? Did you make any offers on other homes before you landed on this one in Esplanade?
You know, you probably think this is a miracle, but the answer is no.
I do. You're an
We
anomaly.
we looked at houses ad infinitum. I mean, forever. I mean, we in the last 3 years we've been looking around at houses, and until I was really interested, I didn't connect with a broker like you down there. But I once we got a little more serious and we knew it was coming, because I don't want to waste. You know, I'm in real estate myself, and I know what it's like. I don't want to waste a bunch of people's time if I'm not ready to buy. So we connected, and you know, we looked at a lot of things. I do think the online aspect of being able to get listings from you and look at houses and look at pictures, that's very helpful, especially for me being not located down there. So it's
Right.
much more difficult for me to come down and make a tour of a house. It's a plane ride away. So that's very helpful. But at the same time, you don't get the same appreciation for the house and its layout and its adjacencies and things unless you see it in person. So that was a challenge for us.
Well, let me change the direction on this just a little bit. And I want to talk about the actual process that it takes. Now, we have two different ways that the developers go into the market for the new home construction. One is the bid process, and then the other one is the get in line and wait. And I understand both developers' point of view. The people that are not doing the bid process, they say, well, we'll take your name, we'll put you on the list. And sometimes those lists can be 6 months or longer before they even call you. And then once you get the call and you're going to be buying it at the price that is maybe 6 months from now, and then you're going to take another 10 to 12 months to have the house built. So that's one way of doing it. So the developers, there's three of the developers that are doing it by the bid process, which is Lennar, Taylor Morrison, and Pulte. So you either get in line and wait, or you become part of the bid process. Now, part of the bid process is that you're going to get to the head of the line a lot quicker if you happen to be the winning bid. So I'm going to ask you first, John, is what you thought the process was. What did you think of the actual bid process to get this under contract?
Well, we had a winning bid. So we think it's a great process. I must admit, we talked to most of the builders in the various communities in Lakewood Ranch. So we were on a list in Windward and Crestwind, and we looked real closely at the bid process over in Del Webb for Pulte. Waitlist approach and the bidding approach and the resale approach. I mean, they all had pros and cons. Um, the, the what we liked about the bidding process was that obviously you can move to the head of the line if you have a successful build. To the point that you made a few minutes ago, um, you can lock in on a price now, and there's nothing more depressing than sitting on a rental every month and watching the prices go through the roof. You know, more and more and more. The cons for us, the big concern was that you're substantially overbidding. Um, well, I shouldn't say overbidding. That you're substantially you're making a bid that's substantially higher than the next highest person ahead of you, and there's a lot of guesswork involved. The other con with Azario and the build process is that you can't pick out any of the construction options or structural options in design
Right.
stuff. We placed bids on 2 Palazzo lots and non-golf lots, and both of those lots, the homes that were spec'd out, checked a lot of the boxes for us. I mean, we were good with most of the selections that were made.
Well, can you give the viewers an idea of what the list price was on the house that you bid on, and maybe a percentage wise? I know a lot of people aren't comfortable saying, well, I paid this for the house, and I get that. A lot of people, though, are going to be looking to you two to say, well, if it's at $1 million, do I bid a $1,020,000? Or can you just give them a sense of idea, because you saw the process and you felt a number of people that were actually going to be bidding, even though you might not have known a number, you could kind of feel the energy. So tell us real briefly, if you can, what the starting price was, and percentage wise, maybe what someone would expect to bid. And it's going to be different every single time, because there's just no telling how many people are going to be bidding.
To be honest, we didn't look at the starting price. We took 2 approaches. The first approach, we had a little bit of knowledge of what newer homes in the area had gone for in the last couple of months on the resale side. Comparable homes, homes with similar features and similar types of communities.
Mm-hmm.
And so we took those square foot cost of those homes, multiplied times square foot cost of the Palazzo, and we added a little bit of, like 25 grand to that. We also took a separate approach. In fact, I went down one lane, my wife Linda went down another lane. And the other approach was, we had been working with a number of builders in the area that were either bidding or on a wait list. And we took their base price and we matched up their features, their structural features and stuff like that, and came up with a number. And then the big wild card was the lot price. And we made a couple educated guesses on that. And in the end, the 2 lanes that we went down, we came up with a square foot cost that were real close to each other. And like I said, we added 25 grand to that, and that was our bid. And we placed bids on 2 non-golf lots. One lot that we thought for sure, and both of the bids were very comparable. The one lot that we thought for sure we'd have a winning bid on, we lost. And the lot that we didn't think we have any chance on at all, we won. And that was the lot, that was our favorite lot. That was our preferred lot. So what does that say?
Yeah.
Maybe it was less about having any kind of marketing data and trying to figure out the square foot cost. Maybe it had more to do with who we were bidding against on either lot.
Yep. And percentage wise, could you say about percentage wise, were you 10, 15, 20% above what the quote unquote list was?
Yeah, we were probably 20% above.
Okay. And Eric, what about you? What did you think of the process? And I know that your end result was the same as John's, but it came a little bit different, because you were bidding not against John, but on the same model, but on a golf lot.
Right. Yeah, we're bidding on a golf lot, south-facing lot up on Santa Catarina, and I think everything that John mentioned about the process with the builder, the inability to select even a paint color on a wall, that's a challenge, and especially for us Northerners up here, where, we have our furniture and our decor that we've enjoyed over the years is completely different than the Florida decor. And so, we're right now trying to figure that out, and what we can bring down with us and what we shouldn't. And
right.
That in itself is a process. But it'd be nice if we had, even within the same samples, like a certain flooring has 3 different sample colors in it. If we could just pick a color that we like instead of being forced to take the one that they are putting down, period. So I get it. It's a delivery thing. They may have more stock of that. They don't want any delays. That's the most frustrating part for me was the spec home concept behind it. We took an approach, I'd say pretty analytical approach, very similar to John. I think one of the big keys is to know what the existing market is delivering on a per square foot basis, and make sure you level set that with pools, with everything else, so that you know. And with that rapidly changing market down there, you can't look at a house that was in the summer of 21 and say that you're going to use as a comp for your bid in February. It's even gone up since then. So, you have to make little adjustments for that. We did happen to find a Palazzo model that sold on the secondary market in Esplanade of Azario that someone got into. They didn't want it afterwards, and they sold it. It sold within a day or whatever crazy number it is, and that was a number that was pretty high. And I looked at that and said, wow, that's kind of where the market is delivering that. And it was a golf lot. And I think there is a difference in golf to non-golf. It's just there's you've got the club, and if you're a golfer, you're going to be more attracted to that type of situation. But we looked at that and we said, well, if we're going to do that, now to level set this, if I take a bid and I have to add a pool to it, how much is the pool going to cost? How much is that outdoor kitchen going to cost? How much are we going to spend on some, minor decorating? Because I didn't want to include all the decorating because everyone's different. But, when you add all that up, you could add $150,000, to the base model as to get it to a fair market comparison.
Exactly.
And so, we had to kind of start there, look at existing. We looked at existing houses and how long they stood on the market. And I think I made a joke with you, Mark, that I hopped on a plane to fly down to look at some stuff a few weeks before the bid. And, one of them went under contract before my flight landed. So, it's challenging. I think in the process, I would encourage, and maybe the people at Taylor Morrison aren't going to be very happy with this, but I would encourage a good relationship with your sales rep at Taylor Morrison, at Esplanade, for example. And that's one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to get down there and I wanted to put a face with a name. I wanted to be able to have them know that I'm interested, then know that I took the time to fly down to there and stay for 3 or 4 days and check things out and walk through the models and ask all my questions and look at the samples and everything else. And we put in what we thought was a very aggressive bid at 25% above their base price. And we lost. And I looked at my wife and I said, well, I think Jacksonville is really nice. I've heard some good things about Nocatee and some other stuff. Maybe we should go over there, because I just didn't know what to do. I mean, I was perplexed as to how to lose that bid. And then it was like 3 days later, and I'm up in Georgia visiting a good friend of ours, and I'm in the parking lot of a grocery store, and I get a call from my sales rep there, and she says, guess what? The one you lost to backed out, and you're next in line. So you have 24 hours. Tell me if you want it or not. And I was just standing next to the car. I told my wife to roll down the window. I rolled down the window and I said, it's ours if you want it. And she said, yes. And I said, okay, we'll do it. Okay. One thing that was told to me was that, when the word came back to her that the top buyer dropped out and I was next in line, she said, oh, I know this buyer, he's going to buy. And if I can have that sort of confidence from them, then they don't have any sort of internal discussions and this and that, or we don't want to lose two. What's the reality of this? So I think that helps to build that relationship with them.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right.
The last thing that I want to point out, I think, is that when you look at, do we try to bid a lower number and wait for the opportunity to come in where we're a winner at a lower number, and maybe it takes 5 bids to get there? Well, for us, the south-facing lot was going away. It'd be tougher for us to get in a reasonable time frame. If you wait on a bid and you're going every bid, it seems to be, and maybe I'm wrong here, but maybe it seems to be that the numbers go up a little bit. And actually, the base price on our house after the bid, they went up and to the next one. So I know they are bumping these things. Now that doesn't mean the bids are going to be higher, but the base price is going to be higher.
Right.
So who knows if now that 25 goes to 20 or whatever the number is, but they are inching those things along. And if you miss one, it's like you got to jump on the bandwagon here and get in the circle and see what happens. So that was a factor for us as well.
That's a good point, Eric. We they in the last 2 months the base prices have gone up $100,000, and that's why I started off by saying just look at the square foot cost. Again, my advice would be not looking at the base price and saying increase it by a certain percentage, but try to get as much information as you can as to what's happening in the Lakewood Ranch, recent information, and price it out from the square foot cost. And again, we did the same thing. We backed out the pool and the outdoor kitchen because they weren't part of the home that we were bidding on in Esplanade.
Yeah.
Yep. John, as long as I've got you up, are there any additional thoughts, what you might suggest to somebody that's going to be going through this process? Both of you all have seemed to do a pretty good job of finally securing, and even though it wasn't your first rodeo going through this process, maybe you can save somebody else some pain and some agony. Maybe the wait time versus the bidding process, but any advice that you can give for the viewers that might be coming here to do the same thing as you?
Last week we were out at the lot checking out the progress, and someone happened to be driving by, and they stopped and they got out of their vehicle, and they were practically pleading with us. What was the secret? Did you win this somehow? And there is no secret. We got lucky. I think the best advice I could offer is to be flexible and be prepared. Being flexible in terms of the structural and design options if you choose this path, and be as prepared as possible. Talk to as many people as you can. Look at all avenues of information, and collectively look at it together. Not any single resource that you're viewing. Doesn't hurt to end your bid in 777 just for good luck.
So that must have been your technique, huh?
Yeah.
We thought about that a little bit, where you think about a percentage. Everyone says, all right, bid 15%. Well, why not bid 15% plus something, so that the person you're bidding against says, oh, let's just bid 15%. You get them by like $10. So,
yeah.
that concept is there. The other thing we also did is when I was in town, and I'm not abashed to meeting people, and so I would drive around the neighborhood looking for people, the poor souls, standing outside their houses, because I would stop my car and get out and talk to them. And they all turned out to be very, very nice people. I actually got contact information. I got a call from someone a couple of weeks ago, and I'm up in Chicago area here, wanting to know if I want to play golf at 10 o'clock. And I said, no, sorry. So, I mean, they're very nice. But I think when you get out and you can talk to people, what do they think? If I was talking to them about evaluating the build process, what's Taylor Morrison like when they're building a house? What is their punch list items like? How well are they taking care of you now that you closed, as compared to when you were just, not when you're just a prospect? Now that you're a tenant, now that you're an owner, how do they treat you? And so, I found out a lot of interesting information. I took some of that information back to my sales agent and asked questions, and she answered everything for me as to how they're changing some of the processes that they've got to address some of these concerns that I did find from neighbors. And I can't say that it's solved or not, because I haven't gotten that far yet. They just kind of moved the dirt around on the house, but I think they're doing the right thing. I do think it's challenging to not get exactly what you want when and you've got to spend some money to undo some of the stuff that they've done to make it your own.
Exactly. That's exactly right. What I thought I would do is kind of just review. Both of these gentlemen made these purchases in March of 2022, and every one of these developers, this has been a learning process for everybody, whether they're taking bids, whether they're putting people on the waiting list. And I think that because there was such a demand here and there was such a backlog, not only for the resale market, but for the new construction, that they're having to feel their way through it and trying to make the best choices that they can. Now, back to something that John had said about, are you overpaying? Well, that's part of life. And, if you bought in 2006, you probably overpaid. I don't know that this is an overpay market now, but what I do know is that we have a definite supply and demand issue. We have a lot more demand than the supply. So the developers are just trying to figure out the best way that they can come to market to satisfy the parties that are here to try and buy property. So I want to thank John.
Can
and
I
Eric
mention
both.
one more thing, Mark?
Yeah,
Mark?
please do. Yeah.
So one other thing that Esplanades are being built all around the Florida area, right? Taylor Morrison's got them, out in the east. They got them down in Naples. So I started saying, I was just curious, what's the Palazzo selling for in Naples? Same model, same age, same everything, and they were radically higher than what they are in Sarasota. 1.8 to over 2 million down there.
Right.
And I said, so what's the difference? Where is Sarasota? Do I like that community enough that I have confidence that maybe that's going to be the next Naples, or the next, could have some runway there to build up. I don't know. You never know. But I think that's I was trying to gauge, and location is everything in real estate, but I was trying to gauge what happens to these houses in different areas. Now, you can also find that same house in a less desirable area, and it's a lot cheaper.
Right.
And so, but where do you want to be, and what amenities are important to you, and is it golf or not golf or whatever, So I just want to point that out, that was another factor that at least I looked at when we were considering this.
I think that's an excellent point, because it is all about location, and especially if you desire to be in Lakewood Ranch, and have that price point here in Lakewood Ranch. As we've seen the market increase, our average resale in 2021 was up about 26%. So that was a larger increase than probably most of the surrounding areas down towards Naples or into Tampa. But what we're hearing is that, well, now their value is starting to become a truer price point. They used to look at Florida and they say, well, we can always move down there. It's less expensive. And now that we have the demand here, it's not as inexpensive as it once was. But I don't think anywhere is right now. I think that all the real estate has been going up. So, John, anything else that you'd like to add? Are you good?
The Palazios and Sky Ranch are more affordable than the ones in Lakewood Ranch. I mean, where do you want to live? Ranch is what, 20 minutes south? I mean,
Yep.
Yeah, and there's also Palazios up north in Parrish that are cheaper.
yeah.
That's exactly right.
But that's
exactly
do you
right.
want that drive? I asked you about that, Mark. I said, what do you think about Parrish? And it's like, well, it's a good another 15 minutes away, further away than where you are. So it depends what you want. Maybe that changes your central location to be from Sarasota or Siesta Key. Maybe it goes into Clearwater or Tampa or something like that. So,
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I sure do appreciate the time that you took out of your day today to just come and let the viewers hear maybe a little bit of different perspective. Maybe we learned something that everybody could learn. Maybe the bid process isn't for them. Maybe they'd rather put their name on a wait list, or maybe they just consider honing in on the resale market. But it's information like this that I think makes the channel very valuable for other viewers that are planning on coming here. And if you got value out of this video, just click that little subscribe button, ding the little bell. Every time we put on a new video, you'll be notified. Mark Boehmig, Michael Saunders and Company.